Welcome back. Last weekend we took the TAZR up to go camping, kind of a gambler shakedown, see what kind of stuff still needed work. I'll just show you some of the stuff that we found out. First thing, this nice like elastic paracord that we used to hold down the tent cover was super convenient for putting this tent cover on, because I can put a thicker pad or whatnot inside of there and it just fits and it holds on there. Well, what we realized as we drove was at 65 miles an hour, that just becomes too flexible. So all of this was getting caught by the wind, and I just had a massive parachute air bubble going inside of there, and it was ripping the cover off. So we threw a quick strap on the front just to hold it down, and then on the way home put a ratchet strap. You can kind of see where it was, right in the middle, to try to hold that down. But that was not ideal. I didn't anticipate how much really that was going to get beat up by the wind at that speed. So we may have to come back around to that. For now, we'll put some straps on it, and that'll be fine. So the other stuff, zip tied license plate holder, not a good idea. By the time we got up there, the whole thing was flipped upside down, and the zip ties are really wearing on the license plate already. Other stuff. So when we put the tires on, obviously it's a pretty tight fit with the factory suspension on a Crown Victoria, but the vacuum reservoir here was tucked in up underneath here. And when you're sitting in your driveway and you just turn the wheels back and forth, you can kind of check your clearance and make sure you clear everything. Well, once we got up and started going over some rocks, and especially when we were trying to get the trailer maneuvered, you got a lot more flex and a lot more angle, and it ended up, the tire went up, caught into the vacuum reservoir, and actually broke it off the firewall from where it was underneath there. So this was how it basically rode the whole weekend, just with a piece of rope. So I'm thinking I'll probably end up deleting this. From what I can tell, it's mainly for switching from like your vent down to the floor, basically switching the heating and ventilation inside. And really, I don't use the vent portion, like the upper vents, because there's no air conditioning. And really, the heater on the floor is going to be the only thing I would ever need. So I think I'll probably just end up deleting that out, or maybe cutting it and capping it and saving it just in case. But when it busted off, there was some damage to it anyway. You can see how well that was tied on there. But yeah, busted a hole in the back, so we're no longer holding vacuum anyway. So I'd have to get a new one of those if I did decide to go that route. Other stuff with that rubbing, I've got some rubbing here on the bolt, which I think is not ideal. The stuff on the frame, it really isn't going to hurt the tire too bad, but once you start to get these sharp edges like that, I think it's going to be rough on my tires, and I really don't want to have to spend money on that because they got pretty good tread. This side is the worst. You can see how much rubbing it gets on here. Not so much in the back. It sounded like I was hitting up in here, but I don't really see too much evidence of that. So I think the plan for that is to come back. I've got some spacers. Looks like these are about 1-inch spacers that we've used on previous Gambler projects in the same bolt pattern. So what I'm gonna do is probably pull these front tires off, throw these spacers on, just to see if pushing them out 1 inch will give me enough clearance to where I'm not constantly rubbing and possibly damaging my car or my tires or breaking other stuff off. When I lost this inner fender cover, when I took the fenders off, all this stuff attached to those inner fenders. So you can see everything's already, zip tied, Gambler spec as it is, just trying to hold in there. So I think getting rid of that would be helpful. And then at some point, once we get the tubing continued to the front, I'll have some more places to mount that. But for now, I think let's just get these spacers on, get these front tires out just 1 inch, and see if that buys us a little bit of clearance. Other issues that I found, the trailer hitch worked great, but I had the wrong plug-in, so ended up having to go like a Tractor Supply place and buy a new plug and splice that in. Once we got that done though, it worked perfect. All the lights and everything functioned as they should. Party button was a big success. Everybody loved that, and the nieces and nephews were happy to push that button every chance they got. So that went really well. There's also an odd issue that I've got going on. I'll see if I can set the camera down here and show you, but I've got a really strange noise coming from the front end, like a popping noise that I've got to try to figure out. So I think when I take this wheel off to try to put the spacer on, I'll see if I can see where that's coming from. But let me see if I can show you. All right, so hopefully you can hear this. So hopefully you could hear that. Definitely some type of popping. It seems like when I push on it, either the suspension or the body mount, something in there has some slack, and so it's got a pop to it. So I'll look and see if I can figure out what that is when I get the tire off. And then the last thing that I noticed in this rear suspension, you can see here where the sway bar is disconnected here in the back, like the mount came off or something. So I'll need to tear into that and see if I can get that connected back up, because that can't be good. The ride in this thing is pretty bad already, so I'll see if I can look at that and get that fixed. But what we'll start with is, I think I want to go on a quick test drive and just see if I can kind of show you the rub as we back up, and take you for a little ride so you can see what the TAZR's like to drive. And then we'll come back, put the spacers on, go for another drive, and just see if anything seems any better from that. All right? There, first wheel rub, not terrible. There's the popping noise. Go for a quick drive here. And popping noise again. Whenever I get on the gas or I'm like turning any kind of angle where it tweaks the front end, it seems like I hear that popping noise. I'm going to turn out of the neighborhood here, and you'll hear when I drive, I'm going to take it easy making the turn because this thing will go sideways if I get on it, but you'll hear as I drive, the noise from the tent gets louder and louder. It's got a whistle, and now it's got a flapping noise as well. So here. Dirt in here, hitting me in the face. I'm gonna pull off here. And my license plate is still on there, hopefully. There goes a police officer. disadvantage to not having doors. But with the 513 gears, it definitely spins the tires pretty easily in the dirt, so that was nice. So pulling back into the neighborhood, all in all, I can't complain too much. I mean, considering this is not really made to be an off-road vehicle, it does pretty good. Cutting all the weight off definitely made the suspension a lot rougher, and most of the noises are caused from me and all the stuff that I've done to it. So we'll head home. I'm gonna pull the front tires off, put the spacers on, and then see if I can't see the source of that popping noise, because that's one thing that definitely bugs me. So we'll take a look and see if I can find something. So not much that I can see. I do see another spot where it's been rubbing there. It seemed like there's a little bit of gap in this body mount from where I had to chop it earlier and then hit it with a hammer. So I could see something like that causing the creaking noise. I'm gonna try to maybe tighten that up just a little bit. Everything else looks pretty good. I don't see anything that looks like it's been sloppy or wearing. It's all just kind of old. So I'm gonna put these spacers on next. All right, slight problem. So these spacers, even though they are the right bolt pattern, they do not fit over this center hub piece. So no fitty. So I guess that's not gonna work. I'll put the wheels back on. Well, the body mount was not it. I tightened it as much as I could. Felt like it was about to strip out. Finally just gave up. Noise is still there. If you have a Crown Vic and know what that might be, just let me know in the comments. Gambler Shakedown, we definitely learned some things that we need to work on. But overall, car did well. So we'll get working on some of the other stuff here. And let me know if you know what that noise might be. Unfortunately, spacers didn't work out, but I'll see if I can find some more online for cheap, because I think that's going to be the answer for the front, at least for now. But thanks for watching.